Welcome back to From the Flightline. I'm Joel Gilley. I have a very special airman with me today. Go ahead and tell everybody what your name is.
I'm Senior Airman Burner.
And what do you do at Seymour Johnson?
I'm actually a public health technician.
So judging by the fact that we are wearing masks
Yes.
right now, everyone knows that we are, of course, in COVID-19. So I would imagine that as someone working in public health, your life has been very fun lately.
Recently, yes. I just recently PCS'd here, so I'm still not into the heart and soul of it, but COVID is definitely still keeping us busy and on our toes.
Yeah. So I want to talk about that. You just PCS'd here. Where did you come from?
We came from Joint Base Elmendorf, Richardson in Alaska.
That's a really long name.
Yeah.
You just rattle it off really well.
J-Bear for short.
Oh, okay,
Super
that's
easy.
much easier, much easier. And so how long were you in Alaska for?
I was there for almost 4.5 years. We got hit up by the stop movement when that took place, so we were there for a couple extra months.
So let's just start from the beginning. What bases have you been to so far?
So J-Bear was my first active duty assignment.
Oh, okay.
I was a spouse for 10 years prior to that. So I've been to Scott Air Force Base in Illinois and Kirtland Air Force Base in New Mexico.
Okay, so you've been around.
All over the place.
Yeah. How was that transition from New Mexico to Alaska?
It was definitely different. Still real dry, but you know, going from brown mountains to white snow-covered mountains, it's a big difference, but it was beautiful nonetheless.
I have to ask you because I'm intrigued with Alaska. It's a really cool state. What was it like there? I mean, during the wintertime, was it brutal?
It was cold. The lowest temperature I saw was about negative 25 degrees.
Wow.
But once you hit about 5 degrees, cold is cold at
Yeah, it
that
doesn't
point.
matter.
It doesn't matter what the temperature is.
Just to let you know, it does not get that cold in Goldsboro.
So I've
you've
heard,
got that
so
to
I've
look
heard.
forward to.
Yeah.
We do freak out when it snows, though. So
Right.
get ready for that.
Yeah.
So where are you from originally?
Me and my husband are both originally from Michigan.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
you're familiar
We're
with
close. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's nice to be back where the humidity is.
And so you entered into the Air Force after he did.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So talk about that decision. I normally like to ask people what brought you to the Air Force. You have a little bit of a different story,
Yeah,
though.
just a little. So I remember speaking when I was like 18, 19 to my grandfather who was drafted right after World War II. And he said it was the greatest experience of his life. He never regretted being drafted. And to me, it kind of sounded neat. And
Yeah.
I did, in my time as a spouse, I worked for a couple different organizations on base. And it just kind of turned into, what else can I do? I've done everything. Let's try the uniform and see how it goes. And so I called up a recruiter one day, and it took me about a year to leave before basic training, but my husband supported me. He knew it was my lifelong dream, and I've got 4 kids, so
Wow.
I can't teach them to follow their dream if I don't at least attempt to follow mine.
It's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
What does your husband do on base?
He's ground trans.
Okay.
So.
So when you came into the Air Force, was public health something that you came in wanting to do, had an interest in?
No, so I actually came in open general, so I had no
Okay.
job. About the 6th week of basic training, they sat you down and said, here's a list of what we need, put them on a list and you'll find out. And public health was number 2.
Awesome.
So I got real lucky. I knew I wanted to lean towards a medical job.
Yeah.
So it's just enough medical where I'm not in there too much.
Yeah.
So I really like it, and it's actually helped me, you know, figure out what my end goal is. What I want to do out in the civilian world.
Well, and I was about to say that the nice thing is something like public health is super transferable over into the civilian world.
Oh
too.
yeah, so, and there's a number of different things you can do. So you can go and work for, you know, any state public health organization, or even more so. One of the things we do in public health is we really educate. We
Yep.
educate about diseases and, you know, different locations for people who are going on deployment. So we pound education, which kind of in turn helped me to decide that one day I would love to be a health teacher and help, you know, middle schoolers, high schoolers, and give them the correct and right information, because that is one of the things that we see, these younger airmen who don't get taught the
Yeah.
right things. And I'm like, if I can make difference in kids' lives in the aftermath, that's what I want to do.
One of if there has been a silver lining during the COVID-19 pandemic, I think that public health has kind of been that, because public health for so long was probably underfunded, was
Yeah.
just on the back burner for a while.
Yep.
But it has really come to the forefront, and we have a public health department here in the county.
Mm-hmm.
and for so long they're over in their building.
Yep.
They do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
No one really ever knew about all the education that they do and stuff, and now it's at the forefront. And like
Right.
in my opinion, like that has been one good thing, is that people now understand like how
Yeah.
important public health is.
Right.
And it just operates in the background a lot of times.
Yeah, one of the things I have noticed is a lot of times people, you know, before the beginning of the year, people did not know who or what public health was,
Yeah.
or even did in the Air Force, and it was, oh, they just help with deployments, or, you know, they give briefings. But now we've really been to the forefront, and
Yeah.
we've been that tip of the spear for the bases, and it's been real nice to see, you know, what is kind of a behind the scenes job be pushed to the front.
Absolutely. So I want you to talk a little bit about the 4 kids. I mean, with 4 kids, there's probably not a lot of spare time, right?
No, we don't do anything easy. We definitely love the chaos. We've got a 12-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
Wow.
So it's definitely crazy in our household. I've got 3 boys and 1 little girl. All of the boys are into sports. So when sports were around, we were work, home, sports, home, dinner, bed.
Yeah.
But I love it. It keeps us going each day, and you know, at times it can be frustrating, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Absolutely. Now, I do want you to talk a little bit. We talked before we got started about the, 2 spouses in the Air Force serving. How do you feel that are there positives, negatives? How do you feel about that? I feel like sometimes it could be tough, but then again, you understand what each other's going through.
Right, yeah, we can sympathize with each other. I know that's one of the things before I joined, I had a hard time sympathizing with him, and you know, he'd try to explain things at work and it just went right over my head. You know, I have no idea, I just see what you do from the outside. But now that I'm actually on the inside with him, I can understand a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And when he's frustrated, I can understand that, and vice versa. And when I was gone for basic training, he learned that, you know, it's not as easy being a stay-at-home parent. So, you know, on those terms, it's made our relationship stronger, and, you know, we can sympathize and lean on each other a little bit more.
Well, we were talking before we got started about, for you now a 6-month deployment is nothing, being
Oh.
away from each other, which is,
Right.
that's a lot of sacrifice for you.
Yeah, and we've been lucky. We haven't had to go through that yet, but it is a very real possibility in the future, and, you know, our kids, for the most part, understand
Yeah.
what that means. But so far from what I've seen for Seymour Johnson, it's very family oriented. My flight and his flight, we've all been able to lean on each other, even, you know, in the short amount of time that I've been here, and they're real accepting of family. So that makes a great work environment,
Yeah.
and also, you know, a home environment as well.
Absolutely. I do want you to talk about Seymour Johnson. You've been to a few bases now. What are some of the great parts about? I hear a lot of people talk great about Seymour Johnson that have been to others. So, what are some of the things you've noticed so far?
I like that it's a smaller base. J-Bear, it was a huge base, being that it was a joint base. Our hospital was a full-fledged hospital. So being here where it's a clinic, it's a little bit smaller. People, you know.
It's got a nice new clinic too.
Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful, and so to be a part of that, and you know, with the smaller environment, people walk in and they automatically recognize you, which, you know, makes you feel welcomed and warm, and just seeing everybody out and about. That's definitely one of the big differences from Alaska and here, is about this time nobody's outside. So it's nice to see, you know, people out doing things and kids playing, because we're used to being holed up inside
Yeah.
during the cold weather.
The negative 25-degree
Yeah.
temperatures. Yeah, absolutely. If you had a chance to sit down with someone who is that 18-year-old person, and they're not sure what they want to do, and they're maybe thinking about joining the Air Force, what has been some of the most positive parts, kind of that Spartans version of why they should think about the Air Force?
I think the camaraderie, one of the things is things kind of come full circle, and you realize you are playing an integral part in what's going on in the world, and you meet so many amazing people, and you will meet them continuously. There's a number of individuals stationed at Seymour Johnson that I went through basic training with, or that, you know, one of them was one of my training instructors. So you come to learn these people, and they remember you, and the networking possibilities are just amazing, and they help set you up for success. They really push you and drive you, and when you get those right supervisors above you that look out for you and want you to do well and succeed, that really helps in it.
One of the other things that I like to talk about is, of course, the education piece to that, because you came in not knowing anything about public health, but now when you leave, you will be able to enter a job in public health.
Right.
And so that's one of the great things about the Air Force too, is that they're going to train you for that job.
Right.
That then you can go have a career after the Air Force too.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people, you know, they join because of the education benefits. And again, I wasn't one of the ones, because I could have gotten those benefits as a spouse, but it is a big benefit. And, you know, it was hard for me to figure out, what do I want to do? How long do I want to be in? But I know as long as I continue to do that education and push myself forward, the possibilities are really endless once I get out.
Absolutely. Was actually my next question is, what are your plans for the future? Are you going to stay in for a while? Or?
So I've got about 1.5 years left on my contract, and I'm still not sure what I want to do.
Yeah.
Even, you know, as a spouse and a civilian, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I still don't know what I want to be.
You never have to grow up, all right? Don't believe that.
So, but I think I do want to continue at least until 10 years active duty, and then maybe switch over to Guard or Reserves.
Oh, yeah.
And then hopefully by then I'll have my teaching, and I can, you know, be that health teacher on the outside, but still, you know, reap the benefits and rewards of still being a part of the Air Force.
Absolutely. That's cool. So you're out and about in Goldsboro now. I know you got the kids too, but if you're heading out for dinner, lunch, what's kind of your favorite spots?
If they got chicken nuggets, my kids are set.
Okay, yeah, I'm 100% down with that. I can get down with chicken nuggets.
Yeah, so they like to stick to the chain foods. So we haven't really gotten to venture out as much as we like, because we do definitely cause a scene when we go out. We get the looks and stares, and because we got the meltdowns that come with it. But we did just eat at East Coast Wings, and they were pretty amazing. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty impressed. Yeah.
Favorite music?
Music, I really listen to anything. I guess it's now more old school music. You know, I grew up with NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and Britney all the way. So those are the staples, the 2000s pop.
I got you. Yeah. Is there anything else that I left out that you would like to talk about?
As far as about myself, no. I think you kind of covered it.
Awesome.
I'm just excited to be here and explore. It's definitely.
Do you have any questions for me?
Where's your favorite place to eat?
Ooh, that's a good question. We are connoisseurs of food here in the Public Affairs Department. So I'm a really big fan of Jay's Burgers and Sushi. It's right here downtown. It's close by. We're in the courthouse. But they've been closed throughout COVID. So the regular Jay's is still open, but this one's closed. And so that's kind of like my staple burger spot. So yeah, I would say that's probably one of my favorites.
We may have to check that out.
You're going to have to check it out when
we
it
like
opens
those
back up.
surprise hole in the walls. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But of course, being public health, that's one of the other things.
And then I also love barbecue too. So I mean, like,
oh yeah, that was one of my. I was so excited because you can't find good barbecue in Alaska.
No.
That's real hard to find.
Yeah.
So we're excited for the barbecue here.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. You notice how I didn't say which barbecue I like.
Right.
Because you can't. I mean, like, I'll make some people mad if I say one or the other. So I just stay in barbecue is where.
Right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for stopping by, telling us about your life and about what you do at Seymour Johnson. Thank you for your service, you and your husband both. And thank you guys for watching again from the Flightline. If you have any questions about the Air Force, check them out online. I mean, do your own research. And if it's something you're thinking about, definitely consider it, because there's lots of great learning opportunities and service opportunities. So thank you again.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time on From the Flightline.